You are now in what I'm considering to be a new age for my YouTube page, so to speak. Hopefully the quality is going to get a lot better, at least the recording quality. So now we're going to move on to finish up this stock. I'm going to let Chad take over with the narrating, but hopefully we ought to be able to get this thing wrapped up, at least to get this heel of this stock formed.
Well, we gave this about 2 days to cure up. Really, you only need about 24 hours on the epoxy. But, you know, once you take your clamp off here, you can see it's pretty rock solid. So you're going to need a couple things to get this down to the same level as your original stock. A couple things I like to use is a little Sureform tool. It's just a real coarse kind of a rasp sheet right here on a little handle here. And you can use this to just grind down the big parts of it. And this is just a little rasp. It's got some multiple cutting edges to it. Different things you can do. They get clogged up every once in a while. You need to shoot it out with a little bit of air. And then for the final deal, you're just going to use a sanding block with some 220 grit sandpaper. If you want to use 150 to get it down to size, once you get a little bit closer, that's fine, but I'm comfortable enough with using this to get it down. And then some 220 grit. So, I'm going to get started on that and hopefully not cause too much monotony. See, that takes it down pretty quick, but it's just going to take some time to get it right, you know.
Alright, at this point Chad's been working about 15 minutes on this thing. You know, obviously, you know, even though I have the capacity to post longer videos, you know, I do try to truncate these sort of sections just to keep the monotony down. So Chad, why don't you tell us what we're doing at this point?
I'm just still trying to get it down as close as we can with this tool, and then we'll switch over to this one here. I just turned the stock around on the vise so you could have a forward motion over this edge right here. It's easier to cut that way than trying to cut up, and two, you just kind of flow with the stock, and that way, you know, you run less risk of hitting the stock with this that you're not trying to sand down. Okay, I've gotten this thing down about as close as I'm going to with the Sureform tool. I'm not going any more with it, so I'm switching to this rasp here. Now this rasp is pretty cool because it's got a real coarse cutting side here, flat, and then a finer cutting side that's flat, and then this side right here is contoured. You know, lets you get around the edges a little bit. You know, and this one just works for different applications. But for the back side here, I'm going to use this coarse rasp. It's on the flat side. Try to flatten this down and level it up right here.
Alright, moving on to the sanding block.
And when you get to this point, you're going to be taking off a little bit of the wood on the other part of the stock here. Just in order to match this up and blend it together well. So be prepared for that. I mean, you're going to take a little bit off, and you know, if you've got like a rubber recoil pad or well, not a rubber, but like one of those plastic recoil pads, you may have to trim it down just a little bit and polish it. But you know, that's another video for another day. She's getting there. Okay, I've been working on this thing with a sanding block for about 10 minutes now. I've barely touched the surface here, but this is going to be the most time-consuming part, just because you're using 220 grit paper, trying to take down that last little bit. And you know, if you're watching this video, you know a thing or two about sanding, I would assume. You know, you sand with the grain, and you know, try not to hit the stock too much until you get down to that minimal layer there, and then just start blending it together. And even then, don't try to, you know, cut too much out of the stock, because then your recoil pad or your butt plate or whatnot won't fit quite right. You know, you want to avoid that at all costs. But if it does happen, like I said, you know, you can fix it one way or the other, metal or rubber or plastic pad. You know, you can fix that. It just takes a little bit of time. And you see, got this down on this side pretty good. It's smooth with the rest of the stock. There's a little bit of a seam in there where the epoxy kind of seeped out some, but you're not going to get it perfect. And there's a method that I've been wanting to try for a while. It involves using fingerprint dust. When you cut your section out of the stock here, you can dust it, and then as you're sanding down, you know, the high spots will come down, but the low spots will still retain that dust, and you can actually have a visual reference of what parts you need to take down or how much more you need to take down of that to get it perfectly level. You know, and you can minimize that little seam right there, but all in all, you're not going to notice it all that much once this thing is dyed or stained again and then refinished. I mean, it's not going to be all that noticeable. And, I mean, once I get it finished up, we'll show you the finished product. Yeah, where that epoxy ran down, you know, just going to sand that down a little bit. I mean, it'll come right off if it's just on the surface of the wood pretty much. But other than that, you know, it's getting there. This is shaping up real nice, and something on the back side here, you're just going to have to kind of eyeball it and shape it accordingly. And once you get your butt plate back on there, you may have to do a little bit of just kind of a readjustment. Just put it on there, fit it, look at it, maybe sand it down a little bit more. You know, just you have to, it's a trial and error type thing. Well, we got this thing pretty much smoothed out now for the most part to the stock. Now, I'm fitting the butt plate on here, just lining it up at the bottom here, and Eric can zoom in now. He loves to say that. You can see that edge right there. See how high it is compared to the butt plate. See, all that right there is going to have to come down. Now, you can do all that after, you know, after this thing's stripped down and everything. I'll sand it and finish it up and level it up with the butt plate. But, you know, it's just an idea for you, you know, just to give you a visual. But this is pretty much smoothed out. I mean, there's a few little spots left to, you know, get down, but that's going to be sanded down anyways. But anyways, just to give you kind of a rough idea of
Sure.
what it looks like once it's done.
So all in all, that's pretty much the finished repair. We can pretty much leave them with that.
Pretty much.
I mean, everything past this point is your basic refinishing as you would normally go about anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, sizing up the butt plate's something that we never really talked about, but I mean, you can find that information anywhere on the web. I mean, it's common sense. You put the butt plate there, you see how much you need to take down, you take it down, put the butt plate back up. You know, it's just a trial and error type thing until you get it down level with the butt plate. And if you do go too much, you can always take a little bit off of the top of the butt plate. You know, once it's installed on here, just put a little bit of tape around it, and you can sand this down some and level it up again.
Well, excellent. I think we definitely got the point across here. And all right, cool.